Today's NDE comes to us from Stacy, who describes visiting the afterlife following a car wreck, having a life review given by beings that glowed and then being returned to a universe she did not recognize. Let's get into it. Dear please don't think I'm crazy. I have heard that enough already from the few friends I told about my near-death experience, and it just gets old when you know something was real and people want you to either shut up about it or admit you're lying. I'm not even sure why I'm writing this email to you now. Maybe it's because you don't ridicule other experiencers, no matter how bizarre their stories may be. My near-death experience began in 2016. I was on my way to work as I had been called in when another worker failed to show up for their shift. Already irritated about having to come in on my day off, I was rushing to get there when my cell phone rang. I know you shouldn't talk on the phone while driving, so I glanced down quickly to see who was calling, while hoping against hope it was work to tell me I didn't have to come in after all. I swear it was only a second or two, but that was enough. I failed to see the red light and went speeding straight into the path of an oncoming truck. I do not remember the impact, although somewhere in the distance I heard the faint echo of the vehicles colliding. I never felt a thing. Unlike other near-death experiences I have listened to on your channel and others, I did not experience floating through a tunnel towards the light. I was just suddenly there at the light. It radiated a warmth that flowed through my soul, as if it were cleansing me of everything bad and replacing it all with a love so pure I had never felt anything like it before. There was no love on earth that could possibly equal what I was feeling. I get frustrated that I cannot adequately describe the intenseness of this love in a way that could be fully comprehended by someone who did not experience it for themselves. I once thought that my parents, my boyfriend, and even my dog loved me, but this dwarfed all their love combined. This was really next-level kind of love. The longer I was at the light, the more I wanted to stay there forever. Next, I was outside the light, but still in its presence. There were 3 beings in the room with me who seemed to glow almost as bright as the light itself. One of them spoke to me telepathically and told me I was to be shown my life review. Remember, at this time, I had never heard of a near-death experience before, so I found it strange when a screen appeared that showed me my life on Earth up until the moment of the wreck. Occasionally, the scenes would pause, rewind, and replay, and the beings would ask me about my feelings during a scene. I was also allowed to experience the feelings of everyone I had ever encountered during my life, all while re-experiencing how I felt in the moment as well. I heard thoughts others were having about me, some good, many not so good. When it was finished, I was asked what I had learned from my life review. I had learned that we and everything we do affects those around us even when we don't recognize it. These effects can continue throughout their entire lives and can help or hinder their own growth. I did not like seeing the times my words or actions had hurt someone else. The being who was speaking to me the most seemed pleased with my reply. He didn't say that, but there was something about him that conveyed it. When he spoke again, telepathically still, he told me that it was time for me to return to my body. I insisted that I did not want to go back to my body, and besides that, my body had just been in a wreck, and I had no clue what condition it was even in anymore, so I should be allowed to stay at the light. Evidently, this was not open for discussion as I had thought, and I was again told I had to go for now. I was not ready, as the being stated. This is where things get really weird, but I promise it happened. The next thing I knew, I opened my eyes, feeling well rested. I expected to be in severe pain and in the hospital, only here I was lying in my own bed. I sat up and thought to myself that was one crazy dream. It was almost noon, so I had really slept in. I climbed out of bed, grabbed a shower and got dressed, then made my way downstairs. Halfway down the stairs, I heard a man talking, but for the life of me could not figure out why my dad would have been home instead of at work. Then I saw the intruder. He was roughly my age and speaking on a cell phone. He saw me and began coming towards me. Fight or flight kicked in and I fled. I raced out the front door and was halfway down the driveway when my sister's car pulled in. I was hysterically screaming to call 911. That did not stop the man, though, as he ran me down and grabbed me from behind. I was screaming and trying to fight him off when my sister asked him, "What's her issue, Steve?" "I have no idea, Tracy," the man replied. Gradually, they calmed me enough to have a conversation, and I could not fathom what I was hearing. Tracy, my sister, was trying to convince me that Steve was my husband and had been for over a year. They had began showing me pictures of he and I together when the police arrived. They had me beginning to doubt my own sanity. After speaking with Steve and Tracy, the police called an ambulance for me, and I was forcibly transported against my will to the hospital where a doctor ordered a 72-hour hold on me for psychological evaluation. I was given medication to help me sleep that first night in the psych ward, but sometime during the night I awoke to find the being from my life review standing next to me. "Are you real?" I asked. "Yes," he replied. "And you are in the wrong universe." "Wrong universe?" I questioned, and the being began to explain. "There are an infinite number of universes, and for each universe there is another you. It doesn't happen often, but at times a human will end up returning to the wrong universe, and while you may now inhabit the same body you left behind, the person who you misplaced may have lived a very different life. Now, let's get you back where you belong." In an instant I awoke in a fog, unsure of where I was at first, until I heard a firefighter say, "Hold on, we're gonna get you out of there," as they used the jaws of life to peel away layers of my car. My pain level was a 10 as I was loaded on a backboard and into an awaiting ambulance. At the hospital, I was rushed into surgery where doctors removed a collapsed lung and repaired some internal bleeding. Before they were finished, surgeons had spent close to 6 hours saving my life. I remember waking up in recovery and the doctor telling me how lucky I was to not only live through the wreck, but also that I had sustained no brain or spinal injuries. Finally, my sister Tracy was allowed to enter the room to see me. With tears streaming down her face, she began to tell me about how she loved me, and that I better not ever scare her like that again. She loves me, I thought, and then, remembering the light, I thought she has no idea what real love is. Tracy must have thought I was crazy when I asked her if I had a husband, to which she replied no, and offered to get my doctor back in to recheck my head for injuries he must have missed. A few years after my accident, I began to hear people talking about something called the Mandela effect and how people had different memories, and I believe this may somehow be linked to there being multiple universes, and these people are simply misplaced. They are in the wrong one. In my research into the Mandela effect, I have also learned of a condition doctors have called foreign accent syndrome, in which people wake up speaking in an accent for a country they have never been to and are unable to sound like they once did when they speak. I also feel that is another case where people are in the wrong universe. I know my NDE is not typical of most, but it did happen to me. It was the scariest yet most amazing experience of my life, and I can't wait to go back to the light, not the other universe. Notes from Beyond Death. When I first read this email, I immediately looked up the Mandela effect and foreign accent syndrome so that I could better understand what Stacy was saying towards the end. I encourage each of you to take the time to look them up as well, then form your own opinions. Be sure to let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are, and remember, be nice. I don't care if you disagree with Stacy. It costs nothing to be a decent human being. Until next time, stay blessed.